Fang is a longtime investigative journalist. He spent many years as my colleague at The Intercept. He now writes most of his work and publishes the results of most of his investigations on his excellent Substack page, which I highly recommend. We've had him on the show many times before to talk about the things he's uncovered through that just shoelace investigative reporting. He also is a contributing writer at the British journal Unheard, and we are always happy to see him and speak with him. Lee, good evening. Welcome to the show. Lee seems to be a little frozen. So first of all, I wanted to ask you, I think it's so interesting because you're somebody who in your investigative journalism spends a lot of time following money. That's, I think, one of the things you do best. And so often elections are about money and who is able to attract the most amount of donors, the most amount of resources. And yet here we just had an election in which Kamala Harris's campaign outraised the Trump campaign by a factor of 3 to 4 and outspent the Trump campaign in every single one of the 7 swing states, oftentimes by 5 or 6 times what Trump spent, and yet Trump ended up winning every single one of those swing states despite the massive disadvantage in fundraising. What do you make of that? How do you explain that?
Well, there are many ways to look at a candidate and how they shape and control the media. The reason that candidates raise money and super PACs engage in independent expenditures is primarily the purchase of advertisements, generating paid messages to a targeted voter base. In this campaign, yes, the Kamala campaign raised more. Her main super PACs, including the FF, Future Forward PAC, also outraised the Trump super PACs. But there is one big kind of glaring dynamic that kind of puts a wrinkle in all of this, and that's Elon Musk. Elon Musk owns Twitter. I think there's very compelling evidence that users who did not follow Elon Musk or follow any Trump accounts, if they followed anything political, if they opened the platform on their phone or their desktop, they saw pro-Trump messages. They saw Elon Musk messages. They saw messages backing the kind of Republican narrative. Is that equivalent to a super PAC? I don't know. It's certainly legal what Elon Musk did. But in terms of just shaping what voters saw and the entire media landscape, there wasn't something equivalent for Kamala Harris. Of course, there were many media outlets favorable to Kamala Harris, but it's not really the same in terms of how most Americans receive their daily news now from social media. They stare at social media. Americans are not reading the New York Times on a daily basis. They're not watching MSNBC and these other kind of pro-Kamala Harris media organs. They're mostly just scrolling their phones. So if there's one of the major media platforms that is biased in any way, that can have a significant factor in terms of media coverage.
I take your point in that. The only thing I would add and push back on a little bit is that of the major social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and others, several others in fact, they're all bigger than X. I think X, the latest statistics are that something like 18% of Americans ever go on X, even have an account on X. I think the influence of X comes from the fact that that's where so many media and political professionals congregate, and so it kind of punches above its weight in terms of broader narratives. But in terms of directly reaching voters, X is, and always has been, one of the smallest of these social media companies when it comes to the amount of reach it has. And I think we've seen...
That's true.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I would just add that TikTok and Facebook were very careful in this election to deter media links. On Facebook in particular, they changed the algorithm to make it very difficult to just share any kind of news link. And given the kind of disastrous effects of censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story in 2020, Facebook was very mindful of actually de-amplifying political content. So, I haven't seen a neutral analysis that shows that Facebook or TikTok was weighting their algorithm in support of either of the candidates. They really kind of attempted to steer clear. And if anything, TikTok in particular moved to censor pro-Palestinian kind of content that was critical of Israel in a very aggressive way that might have actually shaped some left-wing messages. So, it's true that Twitter is a smaller platform in comparison, but this was a very pivotal platform in that this is where a lot of the political memes were not suppressed in any way. This is where political content was being created and shared on other platforms.
So just so you know, we created a much, I think, cooler kind of vibe for your frozen image. It's one that matches the ethos of our show. So you can look forward to both seeing your initially contemplative view and then the one that we've created for you. But we'll just continue. Lee, let me ask you, one of the things that I think is so interesting is that every time Democrats lose, and it's true for Republicans as well, but I think Republicans do tend to have more self-critique. When Mitt Romney lost a very winnable election to Barack Obama, that all these kind of autopsies and recommendations about what they needed to do to appeal to a younger audience, including using softer language on immigration. Trump, of course, came in 2016 and ripped the whole book apart and ignored it all, did the opposite and won. But they did try to look at what is wrong about our party. One of the things that amazes me about Democrats is that they immediately start looking for everyone to blame other than the candidate and the party, and especially the consultant class, which, as you said, when a campaign like Kamala Harris's raises in excess of $1 billion, these consultants who make their ads, tell them advice, get a percentage of all the money spent. These people make tens of millions of dollars, and their job is they only really have one job, which is to ensure that the candidate wins. And you had all throughout the day on liberal outlets and social media and even in interviews, Democratic politicians basically blaming the voter, saying, well, voters are stupid, voters are bigoted, Trump offered terrible things. Apparently this is what voters like because this is the kind of country that we have. And there's almost never any introspection about what the candidate did wrong, or especially what this consultant class did wrong in the messaging that ended up being so ineffective despite how much money they make. Can you talk a little bit about that aspect of our elections where these consultants make so much money and seem to always evade any critical scrutiny at all?
Well, look, I had readers to my Substack forward on text messages that they were receiving into the evening yesterday on Election Day, urging them to donate $20, $50, $100 to stop Donald Trump in Pennsylvania, to protect reproductive rights. If they didn't donate immediately, that Donald Trump would ban abortion forever and that he must be stopped in Pennsylvania. This was going on just maybe an hour before the polls closed. How these dollars, if the recipients that actually donated would actually make any difference either way, is kind of implausible. But given this organization, I started peeling back the layers of the onion. This organization, Pro-Choice America 2024, was founded earlier this year. It claims to be a pro-Democrat, pro-Kamala Harris PAC. In fact, it's given no money to the Kamala Harris campaign. It's provided no independent expenditures in Pennsylvania on the presidential race or in any other battleground state. Instead, hundreds of thousands of dollars were funneled to this Democrat consulting firm, Mothership Strategies. After publishing this story this morning, other readers have sent me other urgent appeals. They're still spamming their supporters to fundraising lists and text lists, really exploiting a loophole in the TCPA. There are spam text regulations that prevent most marketers from just taking your name from a list and just sending constant updates to your phone. But there's a loophole, a carve out for political messaging. So these consultants ruthlessly exploit this loophole. They send lots of political text. They claim to be helping on some hot button issues. The same consultants run similar PACs on abortion rights, gun rights, various people of color defending democracy, support Liz Cheney, a variety of Democrat causes. But you go PAC after PAC after PAC, the money doesn't actually go into the election system. It goes into the pocketbooks of these Democratic fundraising consultants, text messaging consultants, other kind of online marketing consultants. And, in fact, just this afternoon, a few people were texting me about my story. And, I looked up a few of the consultants that were responsible for these text messages. They just recently purchased about a $3 million home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. They have another $3 million home they just purchased in Northwest Washington, D.C. They're getting rich off this campaign fundraising dynamic. Now, for the Kamala Harris campaign broadly, this is a candidate who, along with Joe Biden, supported Jamie Harrison for DNC chair. This is a corporate lobbyist for Lockheed Martin and a variety of other financial and energy interests, who's Kamala Harris's chair for running the Chicago convention. Minion Moore runs a lobbying firm, is a partner in a lobbying firm called Dewey Square Group that really specializes in corporate lobbying and AstroTurf lobbying for a variety of business interests. And you look down the line, the person advising her biggest super PAC, Anita Dunn at SKD Knickerbocker. This is someone who's advised a variety of the Fortune 100, even Pfizer. This is this consulting class that ran the campaign, that kind of inundated voters with messages, that was advising the candidate, that was literally chairing the convention. These are the people that are lobbyists, that benefit from money in politics. They're very disconnected from the lives of regular people, and they don't have a particularly great track record in even running political campaigns. Win or lose, they seem to profit.
Yeah, not that he's immune, but this is clearly what Trump meant when he ran, especially in 2016, against what he called the DC swamp, that he made very clear is bipartisan. Let me ask you, we covered some of the extraordinary numbers of non-white voters who migrated from the Democrats to Trump. And it's been a trend that's been going on for a while, but you see it in this race even more than you have in previous ones. And one of the things you wrote on Twitter today was, quote, "Dems can reform with one easy step, abolish racism." What did you mean by that?
The party has been beset for a very long time, but this is a problem that has accelerated over the last 10 to 12 years with identity politics, with this kind of crude division of human beings based on superficial differences, on the basis of skin color, of ethnic origin, on gender identity. You see this at the Democratic Party. You saw the white guys, the white dudes for Kamala, black men for Kamala. You see it in Congress. The Democratic Party, unlike the Republican Party, has very influential and powerful caucuses based on race. The Congressional Caucus, Congressional Asian Caucus, Congressional Black Caucus, of course. You see it in the way that the party kind of formulates its leadership, the way that primaries are run. When a candidate kind of emerges to challenge an incumbent or to run for office, immediately they're kind of run through the ringer of race and identity. And you see this kind of scrutiny, not based on experience, not based on values, not based on principles, and certainly not based on policies. Rather, it's based on these kind of tribalistic differences that really don't match the reality of the human experience or the American experience. And I think this election really just blows away the assumptions behind this form of politics that have percolated in the Democratic Party. Rather than constantly caucusing and segregating based on race and ethnicity, the Democratic Party should return to the simple value of working class and kind of looking at the experiences of people who are struggling. It's a party that historically has stood for change, has stood for challenging the establishment. Instead, it's become the establishment. It's become a party of money and elites. And instead of working for real vulnerable communities, they kind of manufacture them with this obsession over race and identity. It's just very simple. Rather than constantly obsessing over identity and skin color, the party could majorly reform itself by simply getting rid of all these caucuses, getting rid of all these clubs, getting rid of all these institutions that are based on separating people based on skin color.
Yeah, I think we see, again, this kind of class breach, because if you look at the people brought onto television or brought onto the New York Times or newspaper op-ed sections to write about these things, they very much see the world through this identity politics lens, in part because, again, they're not very deprived about with or concerned about class issues, but that is not how the vast majority of working class people think, who have a lot more in common with one another than they do with some sort of attempt to divide them up by race. And this is what, as I said earlier, some of the smarter Republicans like Josh Hawley and J.D. Vance have been talking about for a long time, which is that the future of the Republican Party is a multiracial working class coalition, because ultimately, increasingly, that is how people are perceiving their role in American life, not based on their race or their gender or their sexual orientation, but based on their material needs, which sounds so basic. But you have this whole layer of Democratic Party elites and media allies and NGOs who just cannot see the world that way. Everything they do depends on this dividing up of everybody, and you see how increasingly ineffective it is. All right, Lee, well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I wish we could have seen you yourself on the screen actually moving around with your natural movements instead of the weird kind of Max Headroom TV effects we use for you, but people have seen you enough, I think, on my show, so we'll certainly have you on in more human form next time.
Appreciate you having me, Glenn. Take care.
Always good to talk to you, Lee. Bye.
Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.